Do you eat beef?
Yeah.
You eat beef?
No.
Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, I'm going to teach you how to make stuffed bell peppers. Tonight's recipe is provided by a fan of the show, one Jim DeGraff. Jim added me on Facebook. I've never met the guy, but he's got a Facebook profile picture that looks like this. Hold on. So you know he's a cool guy. I'm only ragging on him because I think he would appreciate it. So big shout out to Jim and his lovely wife Erin for supplying this recipe. Which, by the way, this is not actually a recipe. It's just like gave me one of those general processes. It started with the phrase "I don't know," and that's how I feel about every recipe. So I'm gonna pour myself a drink because that is the first step. Even though Jim didn't put that in the recipe, there was no pandering or anything. So I'm gonna have a nice nib of Weller Special Reserve bourbon. It's a wheated bourbon, and I believe it is the similar recipe to what they make Pappy Van Winkle out of. Aged in different barrels to different parts of the distillery or something like that. You don't know what Pappy Van Winkle is? Kids, Pappy Van Winkle is probably the most hyped bourbon that there is. Very limited release. You should read about the history because the Van Winkle distillery burned to the ground. There's all kinds of crime affiliated with it. But you can't, it's like not something you can buy for the most part. It's very limited release and it's incredibly expensive, and I've never had it. I think some things in life are best left as a mystery. But I do like this bourbon quite a bit. Yeah, we preheat. Did you capture me saying preheat the 350? Okay. So while that's heating, let's get our meats and plots. For today's recipe, we will be using 4 bell peppers, and I have chosen one of every kind. Green, red, yellow, and orange. Green is not that sweet. Red is maybe, if you can call bell pepper spicy, that would be the spicy one. And then yellow and orange are a little sweeter, a little less spicy. All right, so we gotta start with some rice. Gotta cook some rice, and if you got leftover rice, that would be perfect for this. This is cheap ass rice I actually bought to feed my dogs. Literally the cheapest rice possible. You can see it's not long grain. It's just busted. But anyways, I've been eating it for whatever reason. I bought this and I never intended to eat it, and I've eaten a lot of it. Sometimes in life you make one choice and something else happens. You can't explain that. I'm gonna hit this with about 2 cups of water, also known as a pint, and there it is. All right, so we'll put that here on the back burner because my front burner gets too hot. You can't properly simmer things, so we'll get that cooking. All right, now, when you're at the store and you're selecting peppers for this purpose, purposeful peppers, you need to find peppers that can stand. Now look at this one, it can stand on its own. All these peppers can stand on their own. So I sat there in the grocery store, I stood there like an asshole, digging through these peppers going like this. Oh, it's no good. No stability. Took me a hot minute, but that's okay. Now looking at our baking dish, you see this? I've got some auxiliary room. Now, if you're gonna go through the trouble of cooking a dish, why the f you gonna leave auxiliary room in a dish? So being the recipe maverick that I am, I'm gonna cut a zucchini in half for either side of this and make zucchini boats while I'm making stuffed peppers too. And that is what's called a twofer. 2 for 1 value, good value meal, and we're just gonna stuff it with the same shit. All right, I got this big pan. I'm gonna heat it up on medium heat, and I'm gonna chop an onion. This is a white onion. Any onion will do. I don't know if we need a whole onion. Jim didn't specify, but I like onions, so a whole one it is. So a long day at work, I like to kick back and enjoy a whole one. That should be the counter meme to half an onion, a whole one. All right, so we're gonna just, we're gonna dice it. It's gonna be the most regular onion you've ever cut, because this is regular food. This is not anything too fancy. This falls into the category of home comfort foods that my mother never made. And I say that so frequently, as if my mother never cooked, but she cooked every night.
Just none of it was comfortable.
She just made different stuff. It's just different. My mom was not like your guys' moms, and that's okay. But anyways, I'm gonna heat up some olive oil in a big pan. So we have to cook a lot of stuff in there. Move that around. Oh! Got my oil, got my onions, got my homies, got my honeys, and in they go. Now, as per usual, Somebody somewhere is gonna be like, God damn, that's a lot of onions. And I, with a PGC branded spoon, I'm gonna say, don't worry, they cook down. Because they always do. That's how onions work. Vegetables become vegetables, onions become dunnies. Got the rice boiling, and now I'm trying to get it down to a simmer so it can just, you know, cook. Well, I guess while we're waiting, we can prep other stuff. I'm gonna wash my peppers, just a cursory wash. I don't need to do anything too fancy. You got stickers? Get them off that pep and put them on your buddy.
Oh.
All right, so there's different things you can do when you stuff a pepper. Some people put cap on, some people put cap off. I'm gonna cut the top of this carefully, and then using a paring knife, I'm gonna remove the insides. And the reason that I'm not gonna put the cap on today is that per Jim's recipe, we're gonna put a shitload of cheese on these. So if you have the cap on, that's just less space for cheese. More cheese, please. And if you wanna get fancy, you can like try to pull out some of the ribs that are attached to the toes. But don't worry about it too much. So I'm gonna keep working on those peps as we go through. Be back soon. All right, next up I got my zucchini, which we are going to chop in half, making sure that it fits. It does. And then using a potato peeler, we're gonna scoop out some of the flesh, because we want to put meat there instead. Now this is a time-honored and beautiful tradition. If you don't want to eat a vegetable, just hollow it out and put meat and cheese in there. And that's how you cook. So there's one boat. Here's boat number 2. They call them boats because they're shaped a little bit like boats. All right, now, here you are, millennial viewer, looking at all this pepper that you got left right here on your board. And if you think about what, you know, the old people used to say, waste not, want not. You reflect on those pepper caps and you think about what the young people say, which is don't waste. So we're gonna chop those up and we're gonna cook them. Or you can throw them out if you're a boomer. Just eat the food you buy. Phil's top financial success tip. Eat the food you buy. Eat all of it. If food is edible, eat it. Especially if it's a vegetable. It's good for you. God damn it. And already we've deviated so far from Jim's mom's recipe. She's probably not very happy about it. She's probably shaking her head right now. She's like, oh, can't believe it. Can't take it no more. Peps is chopped. Put them in the honey. Put them in the whole one. I feel like every time that I think I've come up with every dumb phrase we could possibly meme, come up with another one. A whole nother one. These are looking like they could use a touch more oil. I don't see any oil, and I do see some brown. All right. Now this recipe called for canned diced tomatoes, which I thought I had. Of course I didn't. Of course I didn't remember to buy them either. So I'm gonna use homegrown garden tomatoes, which I'm gonna chop up, which, if you ask me, is a little bit of an upgrade. You have those fresh flavors. This recipe may remind some people of the cabbage roll recipe, because we're basically taking tomato, rice, and beef and stuffing it into something and cooking the ever-loving hell out of it. But the main difference is the pepper, which is why it's called stuffed peppers, not stuffed cabbage rolls. This has been my insightful analysis. I'll be here for the whole show, so don't worry. Got more cool tips on how to save money, how to find satisfaction in your career, and maybe, if you're lucky, I'll predict some lottery numbers at some point. All right, our vegetables are looking pretty good. We're gonna add some garlic, probably like a clove or two. And then we're adding the burger. So here I have 2.6 pounds of ground beef, 85/15. Jim said to use 2 pounds, but I'm just gonna use 1 pack because we have some leftover. It ain't gonna be a problem. So just put your beef in there, in the pan, maybe turn the heat up a little bit. And if you got a pan that's got a cover, you might need to use that. You can season your beef with salt and pepper. Honestly, you might as well just throw your tomatoes in. They'll cook down with everything else. Be a nice filling. And again, I want to point out, all that shit's gonna go into 4 peppers. But actually, I'm gonna do things a little bit different. Basically, I'm gonna take this filling, mix it all up, and then if I got leftovers, I'm just gonna put it on like the sides. And I'm gonna it's gonna be like a big casserole thing. So we'll be back when this is cooked down. Be back soon. Oh, also our rice is done. So here our beef mixture is done. There's no pink left. You can see it's pretty greasy, and if it was a modern recipe, it probably would drain off the grease. But I'm just thinking to myself, would Jim's mom drain that grease? And the only answer I can come up with is hell no. So I'm gonna get a big bowl, and I'm gonna combine these shits. All right, I got my rice, cooked rice. I'm putting it on the bottom because I want to dump the grease on top of it, okay? Break up your rice. Your big pile of shits. Okay, if that doesn't fill your gut, I don't know what will. And incorporate in any state. There's no tax purposes because this show's not taxable. You can see it's mainly beef. That's good. That's what we like. We like beef. I like the beef. All right, at this stage, you may be asking yourself, are we gonna season that with anything other than salt and pepper? And I asked Jim that, and they said no. So we're not gonna do that. All right, let's crack open some tomato sauce. I'm using crushed tomatoes. You could use any old tomatoes. You could use like a Prego sauce or something. I figured crushed tomatoes would be fine. All right, using a spoon. And I think actually one of these spoons is gonna be ideal. Ladle some of the contents into the peppers. And I think what you'll find is it takes like 1 spoonful for each of these peppers. God damn it. I think these proportions might be a little bit off. I mean, I put in some extra beef, but not that much extra. Whatever, it's gonna be fine. Now you see that I'm spilling some on the sides? That's totally fine. Again, because we're making a super hybrid, crazy, sensational, multi-dimensional dish. So you don't gotta worry about it. All right, and then your boat, your zucchini boat, you're one of those, and you're one of these. Okay, now you're a maverick, right? You're a maverick, I'm a maverick, we're all mavericks here. So just take some of the filling and put it in there. Just put all the filling in between. What's the worst that could happen? Ah, Jim, I'm sorry. I couldn't follow your recipe to a T. I'm just a hungry boy. Just gotta keep filling this. So, inevitably, at this point, we've f***ed up. Like, this isn't right. Just not right. But that's okay. I'm not worried about it. Because we have God on our side. So now that we have God, let's put some sauce all up in this bitch. Beef mountain, holy mountain. Now I am concerned that we might flood this casserole, but if we do, you know, we'll be well remembered for it. It's probably gonna blow Jim's mind. He's gonna be like, well, why didn't I make stuffing on the side? Served as peppers with a side as stuffing. All right, next up is the cheese. I couldn't find provolone as was suggested, so I went for the beautiful cheese that is Monterey Jack. Now there are a lot of white cheeses out there, and I really cannot tell the difference between most of them. Monterey Jack is white cheese. Tastes like white cheese. All right, so here I am shredding the cheese. Low kick, medium kick, high kick. Pretty worried that we've overcrowded the pan, but I figure after an hour and a half, surely it's gonna reduce by something, right? That's a long time to cook a food. Okay, so let's apply cheese directly to the forehead. Since we're doing what we're doing, just put it like a big ass ball on top of it. What's the worst that could happen? Definitely not cheese falling off the side. I'm trying to get those peppers back towards the middle. Squeeze them together. Oh, I feel like a mad scientist. Get in there, you feeling. Okay, now again, being the culinary wizard that I am, I feel inspired based on the kind of cooking that this is. I'm gonna put an olive on top of each one because I think it's gonna look nice. Look at this. Boop. This is a queen olive. The queen. Work the cheese around the olive. And I'm gonna take a picture of this before it goes in the oven and send it to Jim. And I'm gonna see if he's like, what the f? Because honestly, that's how I feel about it at this point. Man, now we got like hidden zucchini boat surprises. All right, oven's preheated. Into the oven. Say a prayer. Oh, Santa Maria! All right, we'll be back. Let's check it in 45 minutes. It's supposed to go an hour and a half, but I have a feeling we've set this up for a different trajectory. We will be back. All right, so here you can see the stuffed peps. Cheese is starting to brown. It's starting to overflow, so I put a pan underneath because that's smart. You can see some of the olives I put on top fell off. No surprise there. But I think it's bubbling along. It's looking good. So let's keep it rolling. We'll check it again in about 30 minutes. That's my impression of like an actual food YouTuber. All right, here we go. We're gonna try to remove this pepper. Oh, I don't want a green pepper. I want a red pepper. I might need to use multiple utensils to extract the pepper from its chamber. All right, and there it is. Looking fine, looking real fine. Hey, check out that zucchini, it's there. All right, so we probably should let it cool some more, but you can see the molten cheeses around most of it. Definitely a fork and a knife type dish. Let's cut into this bad boy, the money shot, which is cutting this in half. All right, and there we have the innards, the pepper, the cheese. I'm gonna see if I can't get a little bit of all of that in one bite. Looks hotter than blazes. It's very delicious. It needs salt, and it's hotter than hell.
Would it benefit from herbs and spices?
Absolutely. It would benefit from herbs and spices. But it tastes really good as is. I mean, this is This is not gonna raise any eyebrows. Nobody's gonna be like, that's bad. In fact, most people would be like, that's good. I really like the roasted pepper. I mean, the pepper is one of the better flavors in this. I mean, if you put too many herbs in there, you wouldn't be able to taste it. So yeah, maybe we'll eat a little bit more when it cools off. But I think it's really good. So thank Jim, thank Aaron, thank Jim's mom. That's how you do it. Go enjoy a Heineken, Beck's, or a Bud Ice, as Jim would. We'll see you next time.